Hopefully by now you have watched my bike packing videos where I bike packed from home in Northern Ireland to the Bealach Na Ba pass in Scotland. And I thought I would shoot a little video to give you my tips, suggestions for some gear to take with you on a bike packing trip, as well as the one luxury, ridiculous item that I take on every bike packing trip that I do. My first tip when planning a bike packing trip is plan in great detail, kind of for all eventualities. Planning is key. Planning, for me anyway, planning is key when planning a bike packing trip. So how do you start planning a bike packing trip? Well, I guess the first thing you do is you decide where you want to go. I knew that I wanted to go to the Bealach Na Ba pass in Scotland. So that's where I started, or rather ended, but it's where I started planning my trip. I also knew that on the day I was doing the Bealach Na Ba pass, I wanted to do a loop, and I wanted to stay somewhere near the Bealach Na Ba pass for 2 nights. So the night before I do the pass and the night after I did the pass. The reason I was doing that is I knew I wanted to leave my bike packing gear at wherever I was staying on the day that I was doing the pass. So I did a bit of research, and the best place for me to stay was going to be either Strathcarron or Lochcarron. So that was the start of my planning. So I knew my ending point, I knew my starting point in Northern Ireland, and I knew that I wanted to do around about 100 miles per day. I also knew that I wanted to do this on the bank holiday weekend, which meant I had to take less time off work. So the next thing was to go onto Strava, Google Maps, Komoot, and look at my options for the route in Scotland. I knew that starting in Northern Ireland, I only had a couple of options for boats to get to Scotland. I could either cycle to Belfast and get the boat to Cairnryan, I could cycle to Larne and get the boat to Cairnryan, or I could cycle to Ballycastle and either get the boat to Islay or get the boat to Campbelltown. So those were my starting points for my route planning in Scotland, were Islay and Kennacraig on the Campbelltown Peninsula, Campbelltown or Cairnryan. So I planned my route from there. But when I planned out my route from Cairnryan, I thought that was probably going to be too long for the 4 days that I kind of had allocated for the trip. So looking at it from Kennacraig or Campbelltown, it looked like a more feasible option. So then I looked at the ferry times to Islay and to Campbelltown and worked out that actually the best route for me to take was from home to Ballycastle, Ballycastle to Islay, Islay to the Campbelltown Peninsula at Kennacraig, and then from there up to the Bealach Na Ba. From Kennacraig I mapped out roughly 100 miles for each day, and realised that that would take me roughly to Oban on day 1, roughly to kind of Invergarry on day 2, and roughly to Strathcarron on day 3. So it wasn't completely 100 miles each day. I think the first day was like 100 miles, the second day was maybe 70 or 80 miles, the third day was about I think 60 or 70 miles. But yes, so using Google Maps to work out where the towns were on my route, where I could find accommodation and break my ride up into chunks. So my meticulous planning meant that when I was planning the route up through Scotland, I was looking to see what towns were on my route. And what was in those towns? Was there a supermarket where I could stop to get food, or a cafe? Was there a bike shop if I needed repairs or spares? Was there a petrol station maybe that had an air compressor if I had issues with my tyres, or could get snacks in? Also, I went to the level of detail of looking, well, what are the local bus routes, what are the local train routes, and I actually took a list of local taxi companies on my route with me as well, just in the off chance that I had some kind of serious mechanical issue that meant I needed to kind of bail out of the trip. So that was when I was planning the trip well in advance. As the trip got closer and closer, I started to plan in even more detail. I started to get onto Google Street View, Google Satellite View, look at the route that I had planned, look at the roads that I was going to be riding on. Were they good kind of tarmac roads? Were there bike paths that I could take? And that's how I discovered actually, yes, there were bike paths that I could take, but a number of them were gravel bike paths, which led me into my planning of my kit and realised that, well, it's a road bike packing trip, so I'm not going to put full gravel tyres on, but because of the surface that I was going to be riding on, I would need probably slightly wider tyres, which is why I ended up riding with 32mm tyres on this trip. So yeah, planning involved Strava, Komoot, Google Maps, Google Street View, loads of stuff. So yeah, lots of planning went into the trip. So my first tip is make sure you plan in great detail. Okay, so the next thing to talk about is nutrition. But before I talk about nutrition, if you enjoy my bikepacking videos to Scotland, if you enjoy the content that I'm creating on this YouTube channel, if you find this video helpful, please hit subscribe Like this video, leave me a comment down below to let me know that you are watching, that would be great. But yes, nutrition. So nutrition is super important on any cycling trip, but on a multi-day cycling trip, nutrition is really, really important. It's really important just to keep eating and drinking, making sure you're staying hydrated and you're getting enough carbs in. Again, I know that I want to consume around about 60 grams per hour of carbohydrates when I'm doing a longer cycle. And I had worked out roughly how many hours I'd be cycling for each day. So I knew how many carbs I needed to take on board on the days that I was cycling. So start with breakfast. If I was staying in a hotel where I could get a cooked breakfast, generally I had a cooked breakfast, that was brilliant. The mornings where I wasn't staying in a hotel, I actually had Torque high carb porridge, which I was able to make with just some boiling water. So that set me up for the day with plenty of carbs to start the day. If you want to buy anything from Torque, by the way, there's a link in the description and a discount code in the description which will give you discount off your order with Torque, so check that out. Throughout the day then, I used a mixture of things to keep me fueled while I was on my ride. So I had Torque energy powder in my water bottles. So again, I find this stuff from Torque really, really good, really easy on the stomach, and good flavours, and again, helped me get that 60 grams per hour of carbs. But I also wanted some solid food as well. So one of my go-tos for solid food is these little Soaring bars. They're individually wrapped Soaring bars. It's about 17 grams of carbs per bar, and they fit in your jersey, your pockets, your gear really, really easily. I also had some other nutrition as well. So if I was really struggling, I took a Torque gel. The reason I like Torque gels is their flavours. So this one is apple crumble flavour. If you use gels, you know, when you keep them in your jersey pocket, they get warm and that kind of thing. And some of the flavours when they're warm are a bit horrible, but something like apple crumble when it's warm, or cherry bakewell, or rhubarb custard, really quite tasty. So the gels were for if I really struggled. And then Sturker bar 50. So each of these bars has 50 grams of carbs in, and it comes in, this is the dark chocolate chip, but there's dark chocolate chip, there's sea salt and date, I think it is, and apple and cinnamon. So the Sturker bars are really good. So there's a link to those bars in the description as well. At the end of each day then, when I got to wherever I was staying as well, having dinner, I took Torque recovery powder with me. I just mixed that with water in a shaker bottle, and that helped me get some protein in when I got to wherever I was staying. As well as that, I did throughout the day, if I needed to stop in a cafe or a supermarket just to buy something else that was easier on the stomach, you know, sandwich, kind of can of Coke, something like that. But yeah, make sure you stay hydrated and keep taking on food from a mixture of sources, not just sugary foods, other foods as well. Okay, I'm not going to go through all the kit that I took with me. I took a lot of stuff with me. I'm not going to go through everything, but I just want to highlight a few key items. If you've watched the videos, you'll know that I use the Tailfin Aero Pack. Tailfin bikepacking bags are brilliant. I highly recommend the Tailfin setup. So I have the Tailfin Aero Pack on the back with pannier each side. I also had the Tailfin top tube bag and the Tailfin frame bag on the bike as well. So the Tailfin bikepacking equipment is really high quality, really durable. It is expensive, but it's probably some of the best bikepacking equipment out there. I like it because I can use it on my Canyon road bike, this bike behind me. I can use it on my Fussell Causeway gravel bike, and I can use it on my Cube mountain bike. So it works across all my bikes. That's one of the reasons that I really like the Tailfin gear. I also had a bar bag up front. This is the Northey bar bag, which you can get from Northey or Victory Chimp. And again, that was really good to have quick access to what I needed on the front of the bike. The only downside to this, it's quite a big bar bag, and I'm riding quite a small frame, so it did rub on my front wheel. But if you're riding a bigger frame, yeah, really, really good bar bag. Clothing wise, you'll have seen in the videos that I had to wear a waterproof quite often because the weather in Scotland wasn't great. I recommend this Victory Chimp packable waterproof jacket. So it packs down nice and small into this little handy carry bag, and is a really, really good waterproof jacket. It's kind of breathable, but I guess with everything that's waterproof, you trade off breathability for waterproofness. And the more waterproof it is, the less breathable it is. The more breathable it is, the less waterproof it is. But yeah, highly recommend. You can see this jacket in action in the videos if you go back and watch. Really, really nice jacket, nice colours. It's got a hood which fits over your helmet, and actually there's a little magnet in the back, so the hood kind of attaches by magnet so it doesn't blow around your head when you're not using it. Also recommend the Victory Chimp cargo bib shorts. Bib shorts just more comfortable generally for me anyway when I'm riding the bike, especially the road bike. And the cargo pockets in the side are brilliant for just carrying some food, putting your phone in there, just things you might need to access quickly while you're riding. Recently I've become a brand ambassador for Victory Chimp, so if you want to check out what Victory Chimp apparel is like, there's a link in the description below. Again, that's an affiliate link. There's also a discount code which will give you 10% off your first order with Victory Chimp. So go have a look, check those out, and see the kit that Victory Chimp have. So obviously when you're going on a bike packing trip, you're going to be taking kind of spare parts with you, spare tubes, different things like that. But there's a few small maintenance items and spares that's really useful to take that might not cross your mind in the first place. So I take a little bag with me, and in this bag there are a few different things. There are spare bike bolts. So if I lose a bolt from a bottle cage or out of my shoes, for example, spare bolts. Chain quick links. You'll have seen from the video that I had a problem with my chain, and I was really glad that I had a quick link in my chain, so I was able, when I got to my accommodation that night, swap out the quick link for my chain. So take some spare chain quick links with you as well. Also in this bag there's this little brass nozzle adapter. This allows me to actually put air in my tyres from a compressor that you would find at a petrol station, for example. Really, really handy little thing to take with you. Also really important to take with you is a spare mech hanger. So spare hanger for your rear derailleur, so that if your rear derailleur hanger breaks, you have one of these spare, because if that breaks you're kind of scuppered. I didn't take spare cables or anything like that. I took cable ties, duct tape, other things, but yeah, a little small bag of things like bolts, rear mech hanger, that kind of thing, really, really useful to take. Travel adapter. Now, I live in the UK and I was bike packing also in the UK, so you're thinking, why did I take a travel adapter? Well, this little travel adapter has a normal plug in the front of it, yes, but it has a USB-C port on the side and has 4 USB ports in the middle. So actually it meant when I was in a cafe or somewhere where I had power in my hotel in the evenings, I was able to charge all my devices from one plug. So I could plug everything in, really, really useful little device. It also has EU and UK plugs on it, so you can just slide that out, slide it back in if you're in the EU, UK, Australia, USA. Really brilliant little travel adapter. Link to this is in the description as well. A collapsible packable backpack. So this little pack here, this just opens out into a little backpack. I think this was like a tenner from Decathlon, and that's really good for going to the shop. So we can nip to the shop, unfold this, put my stuff in, and then cycle with that on my back. Really, really handy. I don't have it anymore because I just rented it, but actually because I was going to the Scottish Highlands, there were some places where I was going to be cycling, I didn't have any phone signal, so I rented a Garmin InReach Mini GPS satellite tracker. If you're going somewhere pretty remote, I'd recommend one. You can then program that with certain phone numbers so that you can still get in touch with people and you can get in touch with the emergency services. If you're going to be doing bike packing a lot and you're going to be in remote areas, definitely consider buying a GPS satellite tracker. Finally, my ridiculous luxury item. It's actually 2 items. So first up, we have this. This is a titanium collapsible coffee dripper. So I take this, a few coffee filters, and I take coffee beans with me, and I also take a hand coffee grinder, a Porlex coffee grinder, and I take fresh coffee beans, and every morning on my bikepacking trip I grind my coffee fresh, have my little filter coffee on my coffee dripper. Yes, that is a ridiculous thing to take bikepacking when you're trying to be careful with your space and your weight, absolutely, but that's my luxury item. Coffee grinder, fresh coffee, and a coffee dripper. Do let me know in the comments if you bikepack what your luxury item is. Everybody has kind of one ridiculous luxury item that they always take on a bikepacking trip, so let me know what yours is. I'd be really interested to hear. So there's a couple of things that I didn't take with me that I kind of wish I had taken. I actually kind of wish, and I might in the future, take a full spare chain with me. Again, you saw that I had the problems with my chain, and if that had snapped and I wasn't able to sort it with quick links, I would have been in difficulty. So I would maybe consider taking a full chain with me, but that again adds a bit of weight, but I can't really talk about weight when I've just said I take a coffee grinder with me, but there we go. The other thing is side opening bottle cages. I did find with the frame bag on, because my frames are quite small, getting the bottle out of its bottle cage was quite tricky, so I might get some side opening bottle cages for future bikepacking trips. Now this section is probably for a very specific subset of people who might want to know about what camera gear I took with me. So camera gear wise, I took my Fuji X-T4 camera with the 16-55 lens on it and my Rode Video Micro microphone, which is what I'm filming on right now, so you can't see that obviously. I took my DJI Osmo Action camera. Now, I've actually changed since the trip. The camera that I took was the Osmo Action. This is the Osmo Action 4 I've upgraded. So you'll see some footage from this in future videos. But yep, DJI Osmo Action camera. I took my Insta360 X3 and you'll see a lot of footage from that on the trip. It's great for mounting the handlebars, getting footage of me while I'm riding. I also took my DJI Mini 3 Pro drone, and that's kind of the camera equipment I took. One question I get asked very often is how do I carry the Fuji X-T4 mirrorless camera and big lens when I'm riding the bike? I use the Reel 3-point strap, and that keeps it nice and secure on the back. Again, link in the description below if you're looking for a good camera strap for riding on the bike. That's it. I'd love to know what kind of stuff you guys take when you're bikepacking, whether that's a road bikepacking trip or a gravel or mountain bike bikepacking trip. Do leave me a comment down below with your essentials. But as always guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you found it useful, informative. Do hit like, leave me a comment. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.